Capricorn rising. This is your April 2023 quick astrology forecast for the month. My name is Nicolas Polymonakos, aka Sparkles of Gold. I'm going to jump right into it. April 3rd here, the planet of communication, the messenger of the gods, Hermes, aka Mercury, is entering the sign of Taurus, an earth sign. You like to vibe with earth signs. That's your kind of your deal. You love vibing with Virgo and Taurus too, my Capricorn energy. This is going to set up an interesting narrative for the next 2 months in the place of your chart that deals with your creative expression and how you connect to your own life force. A lot of times we do that to what gives us pleasure or through pleasure, the byproducts of pleasure. But there's something here in how you communicate in that area that's going to be a theme. I'm starting off the video that way. I'm going to keep going, but I'm going to bring it back and you'll see why. When we get to April 5th, we're dealing with a major full moon that's going to happen in the sign of Libra. This is a big one in the month of an interesting lunation that's going to happen. This Libra full moon, the full moon exposes the shadow and brings the light into the shadows when it comes to the career part of your chart, your public status, how you stand upon the metaphorical stage in your world and how you show yourself. And it's here when we're dealing with how you deal with relationships in the career sector of your chart. And there's certain things here that will be in the forefront of what you have to deal with. And this is also a theme for the month. And I'm going to fulfill this here, but I'm going to bring in another part because I brought in the part of your career and what you stand upon and what's on your ID and what's on the contract, right? But it's also connected, this full moon, in a way to like what is happening at home and the themes of home and mother and family and parental figures, or you're one of those people, and the past and lineage and memories. Things that happen at home. Is it secure at home? Do you feel grounded at home? Is there been a little bit of a story here about how you stand in that home situation or that narrative of how his home is representative to the situation? It actually could be the physical home. It could be what home is in your mind and your heart. It could be a home that's somewhere else. The things that happen in home are we're supposed to have a secure place there, a place that we feel grounded in. But I have a feeling here with this full moon that it hasn't been quite that way, and there's been a lot of movement. Whether you've had to speak up in that place of home or if other people have, there's been a story of like showing one's courage and will in that area. And sometimes when one does that, there's a little bit of a bump in the road or caustic energy. This full moon is connected. Home and family, career status. They're both connected here on this full moon. And so you might see the story tied in those ways. And I need you to pay attention to that. And there's a reason why. I'm going to move forward here because when we get to the 10th of April, the planet Venus that deals with money, relationships, the feminine, how we connect and harmonize through that way of how we bring in resources, how we deal with relationships, is moving into the sign of Gemini. And that part of your world and chart, Capricorn rising, has to do with the daily regimen of life. It has to do with how you work, how you do things, work, and what systems you use to do your work, and how you get up in the morning, how you get to sleep at night, what time do you do things at, what time do you eat. These little things that keep the machine going, those are all little systems upon systems. And here you're going to have an interesting narrative going on with Venus and Gemini there, and there's going to be alternative ways of doing things or your service and work in those areas. Gemini is going to bring different ways of looking at it and how you relate to that. So when we get to April 19th, this is 2 weeks after that big full moon in Libra I talked to you about. Career, home, mother, father, family, lineage, how you look and stand upon and show yourself in the world. Like, what are you the authority on, right? Those are the two themes that are tied in together. But when on the 19th, when the solar eclipse happens, we have a major new moon event here. And whenever eclipses happen, they kind of bring in an intense energy, and sometimes that energy comes in fast, and other times there's an energy that gets taken out. And this is happening in the home family part of your world, what security is in your world. And I know you. I know you, Capricorn vibe, Capricorn risings. Security is always a big thing. You're always worrying and secretly worrying on the inside. You have to have everything lined up. You got to do it this way. You got to work. You got to keep going. No time for tears. No time for whatever. But I actually think here that there's something exposed in the home again. There's something that happens here where it about your relationship to what that means for you or to other people in your family structure or whatever is within your home, what home means. You could see now there's several different points in the month, and it all has to do with home and family and the past and your relationship to that and how that's flowing for you. And it's connected to that part of the chart, by the way, is the bottom part of any astrological chart, and it supports the whole rest of the chart. That part of the chart, in a sense, is kind of like midnight, okay? And then like the top of the chart of an astrological chart, the top is noon. It's like the highest point of the day. That's the career part. Hey, we see you. We see what stage you're standing on. We see what's on your metaphorical business card. All those types of things. But you cannot have one without it. They're linked. The bottom of the chart, home, family, mother, past lineage, or more father. It's parental. It's not just mother. It's both, or father. This supports the top. The top supports the bottom. You see what I'm saying? They're intertwined. There's a full moon and a new moon and the eclipse that happens here. And what we don't want is we don't want to ignore what happens here. There's a chance here for some movement, and it sets off a longer term story here for you. This is going to be a theme. And so right here is the beginning chapter of that story. And I want you to get a hold on it and realize it. Now, one thing I'm going to say to you is here, sometimes observing and sitting into a situation is the best one can do. The reason why I'm saying this to you in that way is a lot of times with Capricorn energy ruled by Saturn is a sense of in the need to control things and to control outcomes, because sometimes we need to build things and pillars and foundations to stand upon. So we need to do the work day by day. But there's situations sometimes that you cannot control, that you cannot get a handle on, and a lot of times that could bring up a lot of anxiety and worry and no sleep. And those moments, what I'm going to tell you is to trust your emotional self here, to trust the basis and core of who you are and your past and your lineage and what works for you there. And sometimes you just need to chill and let that take over. You cannot control things. You have to have trust and faith in mystery and the unknown. And a lot of times it will be connected to your emotional body, okay? So that's a little bonus thing for you. When we get past the 19th and the eclipse, now that vibe energy, that eclipse vibe energy is going to be all week, that whole week. But like on 2 days later, on the 21st, and I'm going to end it here, that planet I talked about in the very beginning of this video, Mercury, that's in the sign of Taurus, that's in that place of creativity and how you create, and how you output, how you connect to pleasures in your life. That planet Mercury is going to stop after going 3 weeks in the pleasure creative house for you, and it's going to stop and go backwards for 3 weeks for a Mercury retrograde. It's going to go all the way to May 15th, and then once it stops, it's going to move forward and go through the rest of May. There's going to be interesting storylines with how you communicate and how you connect to creativity with yourself and other people. There's a reevaluation going on in the way you creatively construct in your life, and even how you connect to sex, to all vessels and things that connect to creative power. And this part of the world and chart, or in the chart, deals also with children, because in a sense children are a representation and a byproduct of pleasure. But that's not the only way. We're just looking about how creative vessels work in your life, and there's a review and revamping process that's going to happen here, really from April all the way till May. So the retrograde's a big deal for you. So I want you to get yourself grounded in the heavy situations that were going to happen during the full moon and 2 weeks later during the eclipse. And once that you start to move away from there, your true focus is going to be like, how do you revamp the connection do you have to your own creative self, and what do you use to revamp and reclaim that area? That is your April forecast for the month. If you've never been here before, hit the sub button, subscribe button, make a comment, hit the like button, go to my website sparklesofgold.com. I'm on Instagram, Pinterest, I'm everywhere, and then sometimes nowhere. I'm not Twitter, but anyway, I appreciate you being here, and till next time, I'll see you on the next video.